I'd like to share a dream that I had on July 17th. I woke up around 4:40 a.m., either 4:40 or 4:39. The dream started where I was at my grandfather's house. He has a bedroom upstairs, or I guess it can be considered an attic. Anyway, I was upstairs in that room, and there was a bed in the room. And my mother, she was laying on the bed watching TV. And I was on the floor on the other side where someone would lay. And there were people across from me next to the TV that she was watching. And these people were all together, kind of like if they were in a classroom setting. It was kind of weird. It was like the bedroom was also a classroom off in a corner. And the people, they weren't focused on my mother. My mother wasn't focused on them, but I had a knowing of both settings. And so I was preoccupied on the people that were in the corner in kind of like a classroom setting. They were all chatting together about Black history and about hairstyles, particularly locks. Not really sure why they were talking about that, but they were talking about the history of locks. And once they finished that conversation, I focused back on my mother, and I got in the bed next to her. And then all of a sudden the scene changed, and the bed was outside of the house, hovering in between my grandfather's driveway. He shares a driveway, and it was hovering above the driveway off to the side of the house. And all of a sudden, I saw bomber jets coming from one direction. So if you were to stand on his front porch and look out directly across the street, the bombers were coming from that direction, as if you're looking, or as if they're coming towards you. It was a lot of them. I can't really say how many. I just knew it was a lot. But anyway, my mother and I were on the bed, and we were looking at all these bombers come. I focused in on one bomber, and I knew that these were Russian bombers. And there was I believe a United States bomber came in and tried to stop or intercept one of the Russian bombers. And these were like huge planes. But it was kind of pointless because the Russian bomber kept coming. And then I felt like the United States bomber fell out the sky, but I didn't actually see it crash. It looked like it tried to intercept, but the Russian bomber just like basically bulldozed through it. And so then at that point, the scene shifted again. And I saw my mother and I run into my grandfather's basement. And we were basically trying to hide from what was going on outside. And before we started the process of trying to hide, her and I got on the floor and we started praying in that prostrate position that you see Muslims pray, how they get on the floor with their foreheads towards the ground. And in this dream, me and her were holding hands, but we were also like faces to the ground praying. And after we got done praying, we started trying to hide. But the entire time while we were praying, I felt like at any moment we were going to die, or we were waiting to die. But we didn't. So after we got done praying, we got up, tried to find some place to hide. At this point, my grandfather came into the basement along with a woman I've never seen before. She looked like she was in her 20s, African-American female. And we all ran towards this particular side of the basement. My grandfather, he has glass block windows in his basement. So you can't see through them really, but in my dream, we could see through them like they were regular windows. I got the feeling that we could see out, but no one could really see in. But I definitely got to see what was going on outside. And at that point, I could see a soldier. I don't know if this was a United States soldier or if this was a Russian soldier. I also saw not military. I also saw news reporters outside, kind of like covering what was going on, and they weren't focused on the military guy. They were really just staring up into the sky in awe. It was really weird. They weren't afraid. They was just kind of like gawking at the sky, like, ooh, ah, like all these planes are in the sky covering the news. And so this soldier was standing next to the news reporters, but he wasn't focused on them. He was focused on looking inside the window to see movement. And so I felt like he saw our shadows, and I got scared at that point because to me it became obvious that he saw something, and I felt that any moment he was going to come in and hurt or harm us. So I ran to the other side of the room and hid behind a door, and there's a bathroom in the basement, and I hid behind that door. And my mom, she came and, ran and hid with me. And at that point, I knew for sure he saw her shadow. And so I was like thinking at that point, like, okay, at any moment, this soldier is going to come in. He's going to kill us. And at that point, me and her ran back upstairs to the attic that we were just in originally. And we was trying to figure out a way. I was thinking to myself, and I was telling her, like, we need to leave. We need to go back home. It was really weird because at that time, all I could think about was my dog. I care about my dog, but I don't really think I'll be thinking about that if I'm getting bombed. But I was thinking about getting back to my dog. And basically, I was just trying to figure out a way to get back home without dying. And I knew that in order for her and I to travel, we would need something to cover up our mouths as well as our nose. And I got this sense or this download that we need a gas mask. But of course, we didn't have any in the dream. So we were coming back downstairs to look for some type of cloth to put over our noses and our mouths so that we could try to, travel outside as best we can. We end up finding something to put over our mouths and noses. But then at that point, the scene shifted and we were outside. Or not really outside per se, like my visual was outside, so I got to see outside, and I just saw like droves of nothing but bombers. If like you can envision like bombers as locusts, it was just so many of them flying from that direction that I saw them coming from, and they was just bombing indiscriminately. And at that point, when I saw all those bombers outside, I like started touching the top of my head, and I was thinking like these are like coals. And I was trying to see if anything was like on my head. It was really weird because I was inside, but then I was also outside, but I was feeling the top of my head to see if anything was on me because I just didn't understand how all this was happening and nothing had happened to me. And then I woke up. So I just wanted to share this. It reminded me of the other dream that I had with the red sky because we were at my grandfather's house in that dream as well. And I knew that there was war going on. So I feel like this is just giving me another clue as to what that time period will look like. But I knew that it was very important for me to have a gas mask. And since then, I did buy me a gas mask. I don't know if I will actually travel. But I got the sense that it was very important to have one. So just thought I wanted to share that, or just thought I should share that with you all. And I hope this video helps somebody. Please leave any comments or thoughts that you might have. in the comments section. And thanks for watching. Bye bye.